I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Inland Wetlands Agency of Town of Woodbridge. It's October 16, 2024. First item on the agenda this evening is 344 Amity Road, application for add fencing, repair, replace collapsed bridge, add asphalt, existing driveway, and add retention wall. So basically, this is an after-the-fact permit application. We were out there earlier this evening looking at the site. Do you want to come up and say anything, or do you want I don't think you really need to unless there's questions. But
if you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. We'll tell you what. Why don't you come on and sit up and sign in, and then
There's no
if
sign.
There's no sign in.
Oh, there's no sign in. Okay, never mind. We know who you are from last time. So basically, we were over there earlier this evening doing a site visit. Just to start things off, I'm sort of the mind that, you know, what's been done should stay, and the focus probably should be on the other side of the stream as far as stabilizing that and just putting some plantings to prevent it from eroding into the stream. But I'll listen to what everybody else has to say.
I actually have a question. Reading the application, it says the application was to add fencing, but I don't remember seeing any fencing
That wooden rails, the wooden 2x4s,
in front of the cars.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
that's what I did.
Yeah, I assume that's it too.
I agree. I think some designated plantings that would be appropriate for the environment would be a good idea.
Does the committee have any suggestions on what types of bushes, shrubs, plants that you want planted?
Yeah, I was kind of going to leave that to Chris, to be honest with you, under my mind.
I had talked to her on the phone. She said blueberry bushes, but I mean, like, I don't know if that's. I don't know anything about
Yeah.
like what is it called, botany or something? I don't know. Horticulture? I don't know anything about it. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can get you some material and suggestions as to what should be planted, and really just the disturbed area on the other side of the stream is what I was,
Sure.
basically concerned about, because what was done on the near side is done, it's stabilized, and it's the way it is at this point. So, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of hate to say this, but I have a totally different impression. I was disturbed by what I saw out there, and I saw several problem areas, and I don't think that what is existing out there currently should go without some scrutiny. And so part of a stream of consciousness about this, just to get us all thinking about it. I don't know that we're going to have any final action on this tonight. My expectation is we would not. But seemed to me that area was improved to expand the parking area in that area. It looked to me maybe there was a daycare business being operated out of the property. As we were there, I saw some parents coming and going with young children. I wonder if that. Excuse me. Let me finish.
I think that's family, though. I think
It's
they're
family.
all family.
Okay,
yeah.
so, whether I don't know really what the nature of it is, but it looked like that area there is intended to handle a lot of parking. So, what a problem I see there is that there's no buffer between the driveway and that added asphalt that protects the river from runoff from the driveway, whether it's oil from the cars, gasoline, salt in the winter, sand in the winter. The driveway does slope down toward that regulated area. I did see some evidence of erosion. I saw a boat with its engine backed up right to the edge, the outboard right to the edge of the pavement, at or about that rail fence, let's call it, only a foot or so from the regulated area. So I'm not comfortable with the current existing conditions out there. So that's one of the problem areas, was the expansion of the parking, the lack of buffer between the regulated area and the entire, that driveway is massive, and it looks like a bit of a watershed, and everything just flows right down into that river. So I think there should be some diversion of that water into some sedimentation basin or something. I'm not quite sure. I'm not an engineer, but I think our job is to may require us to look deeper into what's going on out there. So that's number one. Number two is when I got home, I took a look at some aerial maps and I saw that what I called in my mind a peninsula in the backyard there was almost entirely new fill. And there used to be a large maple tree that appeared to sit in an island. So at where one of the commissioners saw fish in the water there, it looked from a quick view of an aerial map that was actually a fork in that river, and maybe the tree was on it. So I need closer examination of what used to be there before that peninsula was, I believe, constructed. About that peninsula, I was shocked to see the amount of fill and sand and pebble mixture that eroded into the river right off that peninsula area. And you can see how that is accumulated in the waterway and has actually altered the flow of the river. And I have pictures of all of this. So I don't believe that the conditions out there should persist the way they are constructed. So again, I saw a massive erosion into the water course from that newly created peninsula that appeared to be almost all new fill introduced into that space. So that's another area of activity that went unregulated, unpermitted. Another observation I made was the stones in the area near the parking lot, the cement that appears to be binding them, I'm not sure if it's marine cement, but it looked like it's leaching into the river. The pictures I have of the stones are all white, suggesting to me that at rains or at high water marks that wall could erode because it's not properly constructed, perhaps. I don't even know what foundation that river wall, that retaining wall, was built upon. Did somebody dig into the water course there to do that? And then is that going to endure or withstand the test of time in that area? Unengineered, it seems. So that's a problem. That's a problem. I also saw an area that suggests to me that there's a discharge pipe that discharges directly into the river. And I don't know where those pipes originate from, whether they're from roof leaders. I've seen horror stories where people attach their washing machines and dishwashers to discharge pipes in areas like this where there is free-flowing water. So I think that's a concern too. I happen to see, and I know this could happen through biodegradation of vegetation, but I happen to see 2 areas of oil sheen on the river too. And that could occur naturally or not, but not something I expect to see in free-flowing water at a wetland site inspection. I saw railroad ties that appeared to be cured with creosote that are right at the regulated area where stormwater is. It may perhaps be leaching those constituents into the water course, and I believe ultimately that ends up maybe in Dawson or Connolds so it doesn't flow into a public water supply. Not that that changes anything that we're doing here, of course. So let me just see, check my notes. So so I respectfully disagree with your initial impressions, Mr. Chairman, and my preference would be, in just my visit out there and from what I've seen, I believe that we deserve some kind of an engineering report about the conditions out there and what happened out there, and are any of these facilities properly designed so they don't end up in the watercourse? How do we protect the watercourse from the hydrocarbons and anything else that flushes into it from the driveway that was enlarged? So I have some real concerns out there, and those are the chief among them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Do you want-
So I just want to address some of the things. So the first thing is railroad ties. I mean, no idea about that. He definitely didn't purchase railroad ties to put in the back of his yard. That never happened. They were like we talked about last time. There was machinery already on the other side. We discussed this in depth at the last meeting. We don't need to go over it again. Second one, the peninsula. He moved in a couple years ago. He never chopped any tree down. I don't know what image you're looking at from an oversight map, but he didn't chop down the tree. So to say, well, we need to review what happened in regards to this. One of the concerns for me in this is, this is public record, is we're starting off the conversation saying it looks like this is a babysitting place and that this place was made and there's a bunch of kids going on. This is a family house, and as a constituent that he is of this town, I find it hard to believe that the first thing you guys mentioned was, or that you mentioned was that it looks like there's a babysitting. That was family that came over to interpret for him, and they happen to have children. So to cite that as your number one reason when it's the wetlands, you're not here for any other reason other than to speak to the wetlands, to discuss what a person is doing with their family at the house and that there might be people over there, seems a little out there. Immediately followed that, you're discussing the railroad ties, a peninsula from an old picture that you have from some satellite that you've provided no evidence to, and then immediately go into washer and dryer runoff and oil slicks and boats that are backed up that are not in regards to that. It seems like there's almost like you have an issue with them at this point in time, to be honest with you. As sitting here as a American citizen, and the things that were just spoken doesn't seem like a legitimate remark to start a conversation about wetlands, about it looks like you're running what would be an illegal daycare, let's call it what you were saying, an illegal daycare out of a premises when they are just their grandchildren. That's how you started the conversation, and immediately went into old satellite images, railroad ties, which I don't even know how anybody would pick up a railroad tie and toss them near the water. There is a boat on the premises. The way that we had provided pictures last time, the asphalt did go out to there. It was just filled in. So the additions are the little bars that are from the asphalt, the fence to protect somebody from falling over, the bridge which was already made, which we received a picture of last time, was just fixed so that it didn't do that. And then any of the machinery that was in the back is not his machinery. So he removed some of that in order to prevent additional damage.
A couple things that I'll talk about. As far as the size of the driveway, I just driving by there for all these years, I kind of remember it being sort of that size, and
Yeah.
you kind of need someplace to turn around down there unless you're going to kill down Amity Road. But Stephen, I think, does have one good point that might be something you can address. And he is right that all the runoff from the driveway goes directly into the brook. And to the extent that you could put maybe planter boxes or something to sort of intercept or deflect, on the other side
There's
of the fence.
French drain.
I'm sorry?
There's a French drain. If you
on
went
the-
if you went near the garage, there's an installed French drain down there.
Okay, and was that what drains into the?
No, it doesn't drain into there. No,
doesn't?
it goes into the. Yeah, it's just from the rain. So it holds the water and puts it back into like the dry well underneath. It's a French drain to make sure that it didn't go into the water.
Okay, but is that at the edge of the driveway at the wall?
No,
Okay, well, that's what he was talking about,
Yeah,
and
I-
I'm thinking about is that, you know, you have the water coming off the driveway, and you do have those stop things for,
Yeah.
so the cars don't go too far, and then you have the fence, but what Stephen is addressing, which I think is probably a legitimate point, is that it would be better to have something that either intercepts or deflects the water from draining right from the driveway into the stream.
And
okay?
I can understand that
So,
part of it, absolutely.
Yeah,
And he's willing to install whatever needs to be installed for this. That's not an issue. The way that when he moved into the house, one of the first things that he noticed when he moved in is that the gutter had caused a lip in the actual. There was no French drain, so it had caused the water to pool into the center, and that was piling up so high it was causing a runoff. To your point. Since this has all been installed, it's just rainwater. There has been no additional flooding in that area that was piling up so high that the car would come down and basically be in a giant divot that would, because the water was just pelting from the broken gutters. So as you can see, he upgraded if you look at the old satellite images, he upgraded the gutter, he upgraded the windows. He made sure that the slopes of everything made it so that it wasn't causing a runoff versus causing the runoff.
and now, the whole issue on that peninsula, I mean, it does look like soil and rock and gravel has been moved around. Was that peninsula that size and in that shape at all this time, or
So since
has that been changed?
since I moved in, or since he moved in, and I've viewed the property, first off, there's no tree there that I've ever seen. So I asked him, he said I'd never cut down a tree there.
Yeah.
What happened to the peninsula, I am not sure on the size and spec of the peninsula since he moved in. It's only been a couple years.
Right.
So it's not like he went outside in the last 2 years and threw a bunch of railroad ties back there, cut down trees on a peninsula. I mean, none of this betters his house, any of that type of stuff. And as
Well-
you can see, he's actually doing it to create a family environment.
Right, and the railroad ties, I think Stephen was referring to, were at the very end of the bridge, and it looks like they had been there for a long, long time.
If you need
Those-
us to get rid of the
yeah,
railroad ties, then
that's
we can
probably
get rid. But like we talked last time, there's machines that were left on the other side.
Right.
So whether that runoff is causing oil slicks or anything, it's of no fault of
Yeah, I
Mr.
understand.
Forte's because he didn't put them there. So I mean, if it needs to be removed, if you notice, there was some giant tires that are back there, right? Those aren't his tires either. But in order to get to that area, you need to chop down the brush. So now we're back at the same situation where you can't chop down the brush, but you also don't want the old tires, railroad tires, or anything else back there. So we're happy to do whatever the committee wants us to do to better it and make it so that it is a true wetlands, etc. But we need to know exactly what you want done before we touch anything else, because he would gladly have removed the tires so you didn't have to come over and see him. He would have removed the railroad ties, but he's kind of stuck in a situation where he can't do anything right now until he gets the answer from the committee.
Well, I've monopolized the conversation on what other people have to say, so.
I was just wondering, there is a little, on the peninsula side, for lack of a better term, it looks like a hole or space where I couldn't see and I didn't have a flashlight, where it looks like this is, everything else is smooth and there's this little gouge just to the left of the bridge. A
That's
little bit
that's
above
that
the-
drain.
What is it?
That's that drain area I mentioned before,
You know what
Josh.
I'm just?
I do not.
I have a picture of it.
Oh,
Would you
well,
like to see it? Does this refresh your recollection?
Did you see the pipe?
I didn't
Well,
see
I
a
couldn't
pipe
see-
because
I
that
couldn't see
area
what
is
it is.
recessed,
It was
but
dark.
I leaned over as far as I
you
could.
know, you have a nice wall, the one side with the white stone, with the white, with the concrete, one side which continues all the way I guess it's north,
Is that what you saw right there? And you can see the base of the, I'm certain that's what you saw because it appears to be a discharge area.
well, I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know. All right, it looked like, I looked at it and I said, oh, I wonder if that's where the gutters discharge, but
And again,
I don't know what it is. I
it's
couldn't see anything.
It's possible that that's where the French drain drains into. I don't know. It's rainwater. I'm not too sure.
I'm sure you're right. I just was trying to
on myself, I'm not an engineer, so I
No,
don't know. I can understand the question.
I'm just wondering why there's a space there where it looks like liquid's gonna come out, something's gonna come out of there, or else it would be
Indeed.
continuous.
Right.
And I wondered what came out of there, that's all.
I would assume it would be rainwater if it is in fact where the French drain empties. I would assume.
It seemed like a good question to answer. You know, what comes out of that little gap?
1 second.
Sure.
Sorry, I gotta go to the translate.
Would you like to see the picture of the area he's talking
Yeah,
about?
if you don't
Would that be?
That's next to the foot.
Yes, there's the bridge, there's.
Yeah, yes, it's just the rain, no, nothing. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's the gutter water that drains into.
Okay, so that,
Yeah,
I
so
guess
goes
right.
on, so that's the overfill from the dry well from the French drain.
If there is any.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
this is because the drain
No, I understand. I just,
inside the garage. No,
That's where the French
rain,
drain is.
yeah.
Just
I'm not complaining. I just was curious. Everything else was so
Good
smooth
question.
and finished, and there was this hole. I wondered what it was. Got it.
So,
Sure, sure.
if you don't mind, so, Mr. Chairman, I'm just not persuaded by what I'm hearing in the form of explanations in the face of my observations there. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, 25 years. So I do believe that what our next course of action ought to be is to have the property owner engage an engineer to report back to this commission about the worthiness of the construction out there. As I said, the peninsula, I could show you pictures of the erosion. I could see that gravel and crushed stone are introduced there perhaps periodically because of it washes out into the. So I think we need to know what to do to restore and stabilize or remediate those areas. And you know, that's my answer to it. The wetlands don't protect themselves, and it's our responsibility to do it. And I see a lot of unauthorized activity out there, and I see that some of that results in some threat to the regulated area, and I'm not comfortable with this. It exists, and we ought to leave it and work around it. I don't think that that's the approach that this commission ought to take, and I don't believe that should be the position of our town with respect to unregulated activities in and around the regulated area. And it all may be innocent. I understand that, but that does not eliminate the dangers that these activities pose to the regulated area. And it may be regrettable if there's some expense associated with resolving what is going on and evaluating what's going on out there. I find it difficult to make a decision without some professional review of what the current conditions are out there, with an eye toward remediation in the areas we've talked about. So I feel very strongly about that, and I haven't heard any explanation that
question back to
persuades me
that-
otherwise.
Well,
My
I
question
guess-
back to that is, so I understand the wetlands 100% can't protect themselves, and it's your job as for working for 20 to 25 years on this committee. So if he's only been there for 2 years and there's old railroad ties and there was stuff dropped back there and there's old machines and everything, where was the committee for the previous? Let's say it happened 15 years ago, right? Like Mr. Forte should 100% be held liable for fixing anything that he may have caused as a damage or anything that he is doing to better the wetlands. He's willing to do all of that stuff. But where is if this wasn't reviewed, researched, where was this done in the last 15, 20 years that the previous owner had it? If you go to the Schedule A on the actual real estate records, it doesn't even mention that this is a wetlands. Okay, it doesn't.
It never does.
And I get
So
it. I get it. Woodbridge
yeah.
doesn't show that.
But-
But where was the oversight when all the damage was
Let
occurred?
me cut off that a little bit, because that's not gonna get us anywhere. I don't agree with either of you completely, from my perspective. You know, what I see there is, and based on what we've heard, but really haven't seen, is what it was like before.
Yeah.
We can see what it's like now. I can't, and based on what we're told, this is an improvement over what it was. I'm not sure that an engineer looking at what is there now would, it wouldn't, I don't, in my mind, it wouldn't be appropriate to hold the property owner to a standard where they'd have to, if they've improved what was there before, to further improve it more, simply because they made partial effort to improve the situation. And to be honest with you, some of those walls, even though they may have been cemented over, look like they've been there for years. The rocks are old, there may be new cement on them. That area where it had like in the peninsula where it was clearly like tiles or whatever it was, or cement blocks that were piled up there, that was clearly not there at some point in the recent past. What I would like to see, though, and to the extent we can get more of that information, is what was it like before you did anything there?
We can look to see if there's pictures to
That
we
would
could
be
absolutely
more
do that. And I
helpful
can't
for me.
guarantee you anything on that, but we can.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were some pictures taken by an appraiser or something at some point that would have that type of
Yeah.
information for the back.
That would be helpful to me to figure out what the next step should
Sure.
be. I don't want to monopolize the conversation here, but
Mr. Chairman, I'll help you, I'll help monopolize with you. So I checked two aerial images. And I think one of them was dated 2022, and I'm not sure what the other one was, but so I went, so Google, if you simply Google the address, you'll see an aerial of the property, a pretty good image. And then he also went on Zillow, which I believe used a different image, and they both show a backyard without a peninsula, with at least one tree where that peninsula stands. So I think we could all see for ourselves what the conditions were before the current conditions from some aerial images. And perhaps that's what you're doing now?
yes.
Take a look.
On Zillow, since it's already sold, they only have one shot there. Oh, here's.
I have it on my phone right now, if you want to see.
Actually, this tree blocks the view of where that peninsula is. This tree is over at the end of the house, where the pumpkin was.
Mm-hmm.
This tree blocks the view. You can't really tell.
Right, I can't tell if that's the river course there. That's why I say I just, on my handheld, it's difficult, but there's no, so there's a tree, I think, that prevents the view, but it doesn't look like there's any of the disturbance we saw. So yeah, I don't know. I admitted that at the very beginning, that I think a deeper look at aerial images will show what the conditions were on the year of those images, but they're not, the images I saw, the two images I saw, do not appear to depict the current condition out there.
It's hard to know the date.
Usually it's at the bottom of the map. Yeah, I don't know, as I said, that's why, yeah. Let's try.
Yeah, show more vegetation on the left side of the driveway there.
I don't know if you have this in your packet, but there's an aerial that's
Zillow
from the
aerial
town,
photos are
the
from
town
2006.
website. And it shows, you know, the
that's a long
very,
time ago.
this is earlier.
Can I see? Can we see?
I think this was in your packet.
Oh, it's in our packet?
It should have been in your packet.
I don't think I saw, we didn't get pictures last week, and I don't think I saw those.
They may got emailed to us, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think they were emailed afterwards. yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
According to Google, Zillow is authorized to use Google Maps from photos from 2006 for aerial photos.
Can you just pause for a minute? So, I wasn't out there, so is this that, when we look at the picture that was submitted with the fence, is this that stoned area, that round
I saw
stoned
that.
area?
No, the round stoned area is right back in here.
I think it's going to here.
So this peninsula was here in this picture.
Oh, right.
And this is before, you planted the trees that are out in front, along the road. You planted all the new trees, right?
Yeah. I
So
remember
you
that
can
going.
see that this was taken before those new trees that you see out in front. So this extensive driveway existed
Mhm.
prior to him purchasing it.
This is now gravel. That's
Yeah, I mean, you can see the driveway's
Yeah,
very big area.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the driveway was big before, but just as the application admits, there's added asphalt, and you can see it out there.
So that was the original.
So the point is with respect to that peninsula, the fill there is not stabilized. It's washing into the river, and I could show you pictures of that. And that ought not be allowed to persist.
This is the
That's the
peninsula.
peninsula, yeah.
So the
Mhm.
peninsula existed
Yeah.
at this time, so that hasn't been created,
Right.
it existed,
It just probably wasn't a wall around it.
yeah. I'm not sure, where the bridge is.
And we don't know what it's difficult to see where the edge of that peninsula was in that picture and where the
Well,
watercourse.
No, the
Do we have something else?
stone wall is old, it didn't
Watercourse is
change.
here.
Yeah, no. Okay, I see.
This is all online. This is our stuff.
Yeah, so this, as I said, yeah, this appears to be a fork area, yeah. So I don't know if the peninsula is here.
Well,
but
this
this-
is, this
This
is
shows,
the aerial of that.
yeah,
This is the same,
and there's no stream going through it, it goes around the peninsula like that.
But is the peninsula now, is this area been filled?
Yeah, it's not there
Yeah,
anymore.
it's not
Right,
there
so
now.
that, I mean, and that's the
But-
peninsula.
Yeah, but it was before
But
he
it was-
bought
But
it.
it was what,
Before
long
he bought
ago,
it.
maybe.
Oh, well, yeah, that I don't know.
But
That I
no,
don't
you
know.
can see it, no, you can see it,
Filled
it's easy to
before he
see.
bought it.
So
The picture shows it.
right, yeah, I'm not prepared to make any conclusions, I'm just seeing that for the first time, so.
Thank you.
So, just so you know, the aerials that are online, the latest one on the town website is 2019.
Okay.
He purchased it after that.
Might have
So,
been redone.
that's what I'm saying, you don't see the plantings
Has
that
been there
have been
for
done
a
out
decade.
here. And then this is the big driveway area,
Mhm.
and then this is, I believe. the
And in that
peninsula.
aerial, you can almost
But what's
see
confusing
that
is
that
on the
peninsula
same
may
overlay,
have filled
it's showing
that.
this.
Yeah.
But when you look at
That's
it
not
here,
there.
it's not there.
These days,
It's-
the water goes
So,
through
I
it
think
like that.
This is
Semi-solid.
before you bought the
You
property,
put that there
I
instead
believe.
of loose gravel.
Before you bought it. This is before you bought it.
At least it's a thought.
Before the house was built.
This is before, because it's showing a tree out here, and I know that was
I mean-
dead and removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But
his
you've
boat,
planted the nice
his boat's in the
plantings
same
all
spot,
across
I mean,
the
I
front.
mean, Bob, the image I'm looking at has his boat in it. I don't know what,
So,
Yes.
would you, to move this along,
Yeah.
I had one a thought maybe, they sell this permeable pavement that sort of, it's porous, water goes through it, and Mr. Selinsky's concerned about gravel washing into the stream, if you instead took off the first 2 inches of the gravel, whatever it is, in, let's say in the peninsula where it's loose stones, and put this kind of permeable pavement on top, you wouldn't change the way water goes into the ground, and you wouldn't have stuff washing into the stream because it's sort of like pavement almost. It's sort of semi-hard.
I'm not familiar with any of this to make a, so that's you guys, so I mean, if that's the order, then I'm happy to advise him to do it. I don't know if
I'm making a suggestion.
I
I'm
get
not
it.
worried.
I don't want to have him do any work until
Yeah.
you guys
Okay,
make your
hang on a
decision.
sec. What were you gonna say?
Well, you know, Jack and I were just talking that maybe it would be worthwhile just to have Jim Prady go out there
I was
and take a
gonna
look
say.
at what he would suggest be done. You know, I know, you know, when we were down in Florida, for instance, at my cousin's house, you know, they require 2 feet of gravel at the seawall to catch any water or stuff that's gonna go into the ocean. So having gravel at the end of at the side of you know, at the edge of a wall to prevent something from going into the stream is not a bad idea. It's just a question of whether it's done the right way. I'd be curious to see what Jim says if he goes out there and takes a look and says, this is good, this isn't good, this is a suggestion, and then we go from there because, you know, we rely on him for, you know.
So have him go out
Yeah.
and make some
And
recommendations.
he's our engineer.
He's
the
our
town
consulting
person,
engineer.
so- and to take a look at it, so, and in the meantime, you know, if you or we can find any other like aerials or pictures of what it was like beforehand, that would be helpful, and then we'll just continue this.
So,
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If that area was grass and now it's gravel, is that significantly different in terms of causing problems with runoff?
No.
I mean, it
No,
seems to
my
me
answer would
that-
be no.
Well, we have
It seems
Jim,
like
But-
this gravel is
Yeah.
kind of a more beneficial than pavement.
well, yeah, definitely, yeah.
It could be, but
Not beneficial or less threatening.
right, it's more, it's certainly, it may be more permeable, yes, so it, yeah, it may be infiltration neutral, let's say, the permeability. However, the gravel's not staying in place. We need a solution to that gravel
It's hard to
washing
know
into
if
the
that
watercourse.
gravel washed in or if that was left over as he was building the walls and stuff. The black gravel you're talking about that
Well,
was in
I
the
mean,
stream bed.
This is, so you see the
this
wall?
gravel here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same material that is on the peninsula. So there's no doubt in my mind, given the contours and where that gravel has filled, almost completely occluded the watercourse, and it's only getting worse as our
Well,
storms
you can't-
worsen.
You can't know that it's already getting worse. You can't be predictive.
Well,
Since you don't know the solidity of the wall.
No. I mean, storm water appears to be washing this gravel over the
It
edge
appears,
of the.
but we really don't know that.
Well, I'm identifying the material. Looks like the
Okay,
same
so-
exact material.
Could be-
Yeah.
I'll
Let-
have Jim.
let's-
can you guys go out during the day? I know you guys went kind of like at night, and there seems to be appears it seems to be a lot, and there's we've already we spent a month doing this, right? Which I understand, and we still don't have an answer, and I don't know when. I'm again don't know anything about planting, but you have to plant during certain seasons, right, to get it
And
so
if
that
you
it
don't
stays.
get to do it this season, it would be done in the spring.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's have our engineer go out there.
Sure.
Let's get some professional opinions
Left over from-
and suggestions, and then we'll go from there.
Because plantings would be in the upland, and that doesn't sound like the upland is eroding, right?
Well, the others, on the far side of the brook.
On the far side, there's
It
bear-
probably
I
is.
mean-
bear soil.
The other thing is that this particular stream in significant storms carries a lot of volume. And its headwaters are up by the junior high or the high school. And it feeds down because it's the stream that goes underneath Brookside Market.
Yeah.
And then it goes underneath Amity Road and it dives down into the flats and it meanders through and then it goes underneath Litchfield Turnpike and then behind Warren it feeds into the side of Knowles. So, and there are times when this thing runs really rampant, but it's from the headwaters above it because it's got that expansive wetlands that's up off the backside of the high school where the mushroom farm is.
Yeah.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it starts in there and then it feeds down. So there's quite a bit of headwater to this thing. So if it's okay with you, I'll get Jim, I'll ask him, you know, to go out sooner rather than
Yeah.
later. And then I'll let you know when
Sure.
he's coming.
Well,
And-
so he's gone for a week, starting tomorrow, so just letting you know.
Okay,
But-
Well, it's hard to get, well, it'd probably be a couple weeks before we
Okay.
get Jim out there, so we'll plan on doing it after he returns.
Do you need somebody on site, or can you just come? I don't know what the law is.
well, as long as you give permission, and you've
Okay.
submitted an application, which by
Gives
default
permission.
gives permission for the commission or the board, agency and its experts to access the site, so you're all set.
Based off of that, what we're gonna do on this next plan, because last time we came to the meeting, and I understand the situation, but last time we came to the meeting, you said you wanted to review it, and then we would come in with probably an answer, and now we're going to the next stage. Is this normally like it on the, like you'll make a decision at the next time, or can this possibly continue?
Yeah, it depends on what our engineer tells us and
Okay.
what you wanna do and how we work it out, so.
Okay,
By next meeting, we'll either have a solution or we'll have progress,
okay,
okay? So,
that's fair.
whether it's next month or the month after.
I appreciate the
don't know, so,
transparency.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can't ever, when it's something where this occurred, they can't act on it the night that it comes in, and that's why they went to take the site visit. And now based on that, then they have questions and we go from there. So this is not unusual
Okay.
for this to occur this way. So,
Unless somebody else has something else to say, we will continue this till next month and get the engineer out there, so.
Fair enough.
So if I communicate to Bruno, is that good?
Or you can do me.
Okay.
Either way.
You've emailed me, right?
Yeah, I was the one who emailed you all the pictures.
Yeah,
and,
okay, so I've got your email. So I'll let you know
Yeah.
when I get
I'm only
Jim.
asking because I take off time to be here, so I just want to make sure that I'm here for him.
We appreciate that, so,
No problem.
thank you for the interpretation, so, translation.
I'm sorry, no speak English.
No, that's
I
okay.
understand a little bit, but.
Yeah, and I don't speak Portuguese either, so it's, I'm Brazilian.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. We will see what Jim says. We'll send Jim out there and take a look.
Do you, for any reason, want me to also have Martin go out there and to recommend any plantings? You know,
Seems premature if I can't do it till the spring anyway.
but if you're gonna act
Yeah,
on
we-
it, then
yeah,
you would
let's just get everything
incorporate
done,
that
so-
into
Oh,
your.
yeah, have him.
Sure, you're
yes.
right, yeah.
Have him go out there.
Right,
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay, so I'll
Because-
have Marty
Done.
look at it from an
Yeah.
environmental perspective, and I'll have
Yeah.
Jim look at it
Yeah.
from an engineering
Yeah.
perspective. Okay.
All right, moving right along. Next item on the agenda, a request for, release of bond for 181 Ford Road. $1,500 bond. Everything's stabilized there and okay to
Everything is
release?
stabilized, yes.
Okay. Do we have no concerns at all then, right?
No,
Okay.
but he's still getting a permit to discharge from Quinnipiac, but that's not you guys, that's subterranean.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, motion to release the bond of $1,500 on 181 Ford Road?
Okay, moves, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Dave seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, okay, we're all set with that. Enforcement officer report. Chris, what are we doing?
So, Stephen had emailed me about an anti-tracking pad down for Bradley Road, which doesn't have a wetlands permit, but they did replenish it, so this is the north
Thank you.
side.
I saw that. Great job.
So that's the north side. They, I have to say, Toll's been, very receptive to doing whatever we need them to do whenever they do it. So that's been. The second question that Steve had regarded 106 Seymour Road. And I went out there and, if you scale the plan and you look at what's out there, he's got lawn that's extending toward the man-made pond where the plan that you approved showed limits of clearing further up. So I'm honestly not sure, there still is a narrow vegetative thing between the man-made pond and where the lawn is. It's not, I think if I said 10 feet, I'd be generous.
Yes.
But, you know, there is something that's there, but it's the man-made pond, which quite honestly isn't all that great any more than the other pond is. But, you know, I figured since we're meeting tonight, I would talk to you, because I can go out there and meet with Peter and say, look, you need to do some plantings in this area that scales, you know,
How many
and we can scale it on the plan.
How
so
many
it's-
feet is he short, you think?
He might be short 20, 25, 30 feet, somewhere in there.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
hard to
actually
tell. You know, I'd have to
significant
go
at
out
least.
there with a tape
Yeah.
and measure, you know, I can tell from the plan where it's supposed to be.
Who's the surveyor in this? Was it John Paul?
It's
or-
John Paul.
Okay, maybe call John Paul and tell him to go out there and mark where he should have been cleared.
Okay,
you know.
I can do that.
Let him do the work rather than you go out there with a
Okay.
tape, you know? And, you know, I think that'll get more.
So have him delineate the clearing
it-
limits, and
yeah.
then that way I can just say to Peter, you need to do plantings in this upland
I
area.
think so. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Christine. So, you know, as you know, I have, you know, taken an interest in this property, and the development, the lawn has far exceeded the limits of disturbance on the map that was proposed by tens and tens of feet. I have a picture of what the current conditions are out there. Yeah, there is lawn right up to that regulated area. So that's number one. So I believe that the development has exceeded the limits of disturbance in a large part, on a large part of that property. So that's number one. And number two, and I mentioned this before, you know, I really am, I'm disturbed too. I was disturbed earlier, I'm disturbed again. The map of that property showed a wetland area in the backyard, and I haven't gone on the property, maybe I'd like to, but there's a wetland on the town map, and there's a wetland on the applicant's map that is now filled in, doesn't exist anymore, and that.
That's not true.
Okay, so I think I'd like to get out there and see that. So,
That's not your
and let me
job.
tell you,
That's
let me tell
my
you
job.
part of what that. So that's number one. Is I can't seem to identify where that wetland is anymore, at least from the street. That's number one. Number two is with respect to that wetland area. I guess I supposed, because we don't have any reports, we don't have any engineering, we don't know anything that happened out there about how that area got lawned over, and then all of a sudden we ended up with a pipe that appeared to direct us in that direction, that was discharging into that pond, which had a lot of life in it.
The pipe is from the footing drains to
So-
the house.
Okay, so that was unusual. All of a sudden, the pipe appeared, and then when we mentioned it at the meeting, the pipe disappeared. And so I don't know, you know. So from a wetlands perspective, I'm asking myself, where's that water going? It used to recharge that area, just as all the maps showed that water course that was in the backyard on the town maps and the applicant's engineered map. Where did that water go? Where did that area go? And is it still recharging that pond area? So I've seen no evidence of any of the water that used to discharge in that area. And I have pictures of water
There was
overflowing.
never water that discharged to the man-made pond in front. The wetlands that you're talking about feeds to the other pond, which is further west. The pipe that you saw was the pipe for the footing drains for the house, which was to be reconnected into the plunge pool for the swale that was required to come along the edge of the property.
Could we look at that map? So that I could,
I would just like a very simple, what does the commission want me, or agency, I'm sorry, you're an agency, want me to do?
My memory, when we did a site visit
Your memory was that wetlands really wasn't all that visible.
But yeah, it's very hard to identify as wetlands. I think, is it Joshua?
Josh Lemon, yes.
Josh was on, and he recognized some plants that indicated wet soils, but,
There
it was
wasn't a direct
way,
water
it was a
course.
trek from the road to get to that area. It wasn't,
Right. It was down, it's on the far side, going
very
down
west,
towards
yes.
the second pond, not, it wasn't in the front yard going towards this first man-made
no,
pond.
it was what would
It
have
was in the
been
back
deep
going to
in the woods, maybe 75 feet or so.
Yes, I see that here, yes. Yes. All right, so then, when you were last on the site, Christine, are those wetlands, is that wetland still there?
Yes,
Okay, all right, that's good.
So maybe when you're talking to John Paul, if we can get him to do something, so you have less that you have to do, just have him compare the property as developed to the plan as approved.
Thank you.
And see if he can, if he's willing to let us know where there's been deviation, you know?
Mhm.
And that way, you don't, and then once you get that information, if you don't, if you think it's necessary for you to do something, then you could do something and go out there, okay? I'd rather
my gut feeling is right now he needs to do at a minimum plantings
around the man-made.
above the man-made pond that's closest to the driveway.
Right, they're both
The
labeled
area
man-made.
that's over towards the second man-made pond does not have the encroachment that we've seen with the front one.
Okay.
And in all honesty, part of the front one was the way he pulled the drainage down where we had him pull it back.
Right.
It was putting in the pole for the underground electricity,
it
which is
disturbed
not
what
to
was
say
there.
that it's a perfect thing to do, but it was all in an upland. It's an upland regulated review area, but it isn't in a wetland
Right.
per se.
Okay, so if you
So-
could do that, then we'll just hopefully have
And then I'll
something to talk
report
about next
back to you
month.
at the next
Thank you,
meeting.
very good.
Thanks. Okay, anything else from an enforcement standpoint?
No, I don't think so.
That's
It's been
okay.
dry, so there
Yeah, I
hasn't
know.
been any complaints of
No flooding,
no
yeah.
flooding.
All right, we'll see what happens by next month. All right, no site visits, minutes.
Oh,
Gene.
yeah,
It's your turn.
couple of small things,
You wanna just give them to me?
but one, I've circled that Mr. Roy's name showed up in the comment, underneath the other application. You'll see it.
Okay, all right.
And then there's a sentence at the end of the enforcement officer's report that just,
I'll look at it.
it's,
Just show
as
it to me
people,
and
as
I'll look at it.
people are fond of saying, it's word salad.
Okay.
So,
Favorite for
They
you.
used to be
so that's
funny.
all. Have
That's
fun,
it? That's it?
that's it.
Anybody
that's
else have
pretty
anything
good.
else? No? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with Gene's comments? Jack moved, second, Josh seconded, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed, abstentions? All right, anything else we need to talk about?
No?
Okay, anything else? No? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
So Stephen moved, we have a second,
Alright, second.
David seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? 7?
8:23.
8:23. Okay, thank